Most kids aren't slow, they just don't know how to accelerate. If your kid looks a step behind in games, this is probably why. Acceleration is what separates average from standout, and it's not about quick feet, it's about how much force they put into the ground. First, single leg hops for a distance. This teaches your kid how to push off one leg with power, just like the first steps of a sprint. You want your athlete to stick it, then explode forward. This will help with better force, which will help them with a better, faster first step. Next, triple broad jumps. This builds horizontal power, which is exactly what acceleration is. You want your athlete to cover ground every jump. The more ground they cover, the more faster they get down the field. Last, med ball granny toss. This trains full body power and hip extension, what actually drives sprint speed. You want your athlete launching in behind them using their hips. The more power they can do, the more speed they'll get. Most parents have their kids doing ladders and kilns, but that doesn't fix acceleration. Power and force is what actually transfers to game speed. If you want your kid to be the one pulling away instead of getting caught, comment speed and I'll send you my full 6-week program that builds real game speed.
NFL brothers who had their entire future planned before they were born. Back in the 1980s, a bodybuilder named John Brown won Mr. Universe twice and Mr. World 3 times. And when his bodybuilding career was over, he decided his next obsession was going to be his children. When his first son was born, he looked at the birth certificate and instead of writing Brown, he wrote St. Brown because there were already too many guys named Brown on NFL jerseys, and his sons were going to be remembered differently. So he named his first son Equinemius, his second Osiris, and his third Amun-Ra. Then he got to work. He had Amun-Ra lifting weights at 5 years old, starting with PVC pipes to get his form right before moving to real weight, telling his boys that the moment they walked into that gym, he wasn't their father anymore. And the only goal was to be the best in the world. While their father was building their bodies, their mother Miriam, who grew up in Germany, only ever spoke to them in German from the day they were born, had them learn French on top of that, made them complete vocabulary cards before they were allowed to go outside, and eventually had all 3 boys sitting their college entrance exams in 3 different languages. Crazy. And once a week, John would drive his sons to a football camp in Compton so they could compete against kids from harder backgrounds, because he wanted them to understand what real hunger felt like before they ever needed it on a football field. All 3 brothers came out of high school as 4- and 5-star recruits. All 3 went on to play college football at major programs, and all 3 eventually made it to the NFL, with Amun-Ra alone going on to sign a 120.
Most speed training for kids is wrong. Here's what actually works. Parents keep having kids just run more to get faster. That's cardio, not speed training. Here's the exact speed data I use with my 9-year-olds that's helped them get noticeably faster in just 1 month. We start with a slow march to teach the body what sprint mechanics feel like before we add speed. Then we go into a fast march, same movement, more intent. Now we're bridging thinking into doing. Then we go into high knees, we're reinforcing posture and getting those hip flexors firing. After that, we go into frequent high knees. Now we're training the rate. Fast turnover is where speed lives. We go into pogos, which helps with ankle stiffness. A stiff ankle is a springboard. A floppy one bleeds energy through every stride. Then we go into skips for height. Now we're building explosive power through the full range before we go horizontal. Then we go into bounce. This teaches them how to project force horizontally for acceleration. Then we go into straight leg bounce. Now we're working elasticity and top speed mechanics. Then we hop into frequent bounce, which helps them with quick contacts, rhythm, and stiffness all together. Then we go outside and we hook them up to resisted sprint. This teaches force application and acceleration angles. Then after that, we remove the resistance so their body can actually move faster just naturally. That's the difference between training to be tired and training to actually become faster. These kids aren't just working hard, they're learning how to move efficiently, produce force, and apply it into the ground the right way. That's why they're getting fast in just 1 month. If you want your kid to be fast like this, comment fast and I'll...
Athletically, if you do not have a single leg squat, then you are missing a huge component of being a strong mover. This young athlete is ahead of the game, having this single leg squatting ability this young. Single leg squats for athletes just give you more movement options. They are difficult to develop, but they are absolutely worth spending time on. Here are 5 ways to begin. First is the front foot elevated split squat. This is a great place to build full range of motion, single leg strength, and learning how to really feel deeper squat positions on one leg. Second is the full range dumbbell lunge. This is an amazing way to build deeper ranges on that front leg while strengthening the hips and the glutes in those deeper ranges that translate directly into pistol squats and shrimp squats. Third is the single leg wall sit. This builds strength at the 90-degree angle, which is usually the part of the single leg squat that people cheat and are the weakest at. Next is the shrimp squat. The shrimp squat is the first single leg squat people should really develop. The ability to go up and down here, have the knee tap to the floor and come back up. This is to be developed before a pistol squat. Master the shrimp squat first. Next is the high step up. If you master the high step up and you work towards a high step up at hip height or higher with control and limited momentum, this opens up the door for every other single leg squat. Master the high step up, even though it is not the most exciting exercise. There is one movement that when you lose it, you automatically start feeling old. It's one of those movements that you should be doing everything you can to preserve it for as long as possible, because it is almost like a light switch in terms of how your body ages. And that movement is sprinting. Sprinting is the make or break movement that really defines whether you still have your youth or not. If you can sprint, you are still holding on to a lot of your athleticism. If you cannot sprint, you know you are starting to feel old. Here are the top 3 ways to preserve your ability to sprint. Number 1 is bouncing. Bouncing is what preserves your ability to maintain a strong Achilles tendon and a strong lower limb. When people try to sprint and they can't, one of the main areas that gives out is the Achilles. Focus on staying through the forefoot and limiting heel contact as you bounce. Number 2 is getting your hamstrings brutally strong and flexible. Become more posterior chain dominant. Take hamstring training very seriously. Get good at lengthening them, get good at shortening them, get good at moving through both the lengthened and the shortened positions with strength and control. Hamstrings are one of the most common areas people strain when they try to sprint but are not prepared for it. They are heavily involved in sprinting. Get them strong enough to produce force and get them flexible enough that they do not tear when they enter those lengthened positions at high speeds. And number 3 is the hip flexors. You know that person who tries to sprint but they cannot even bring their knee up. Sprinting has a lot to do with strong hip flexors and the ability to drive your knee upward with strength and power. Training your hip flexors with things like leg lift variations helps keep them strong and powerful for every stride of the sprint. It's not always fun training the hip flexors and leg lifts, but it is something you should definitely take seriously for a better stride as you are sprinting.